Hey friends, welcome. Just gonna start the Instagram. Checking my connection here on Instagram. If anybody's on Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube and you want to drop in a comment, definitely feel free. Hello friends on Instagram. You're getting my beautiful green background again, and my other crew here on my computer, they are getting my beautiful background that I have. So today's conversation is going to be around the entire foundation of human design. And that's what I want to talk about today. And that foundation is really truly comprehending your decision making, and then understanding the distraction aspect so that you can trust in your true self. That's the whole foundation of human design. There's a lot of information that you can extrapolate out of the human design system. Definitely is. The only way that we truly can create wealth in our lives is first understanding that there is a decision that has to be made. You have to make the decision that, yes, I want wealth. That's where this has to lie. And what I mean by that is there's so many coaches out there, including me. I use this process where I book a call, we talk to you on a breakthrough call, and you think that you've made the decision that you want to step into coaching. So oftentimes in that call, there's a lot of hesitation. And that hesitation really is truly that the decision has not been made yet. And what I mean by that is the comfort zone, the fear, the ingrained patterns that are inside of us. We get so caught up in that even though we think we've made a decision to jump in and create wealth, something's still holding us back. When I'm doing my breakthrough calls, that's the most important aspect for me, is I really go into that and go like, are you really truly committed? I ask that question in the emails preceding the call. I ask that question in the form that you're to fill out when you're going to book this breakthrough call. And I get a lot of real interesting information. So if any of you guys are out there and you are wanting to become a coach, you're wanting to be in this service business, you want to harness the truth of your design, you want to bring your skills in from, maybe it's possibly card readings, tarot readings, maybe it's energy work, could be a vast amount of information, maybe it's even psychology, and you want to bring this all in. You want to be able to really understand your people and have an interaction at a deep level, and creating a form so that your first interaction with them, because right now I'm interacting with you guys online and I'm having a conversation, you're sitting there listening to the information. And what this does for you is this allows you to really get to know my energy. And through that, when you guys fill out the form, when you're going to jump into a coaching call with me, that allows me to get a deeper sense of who you are. I have your human design. I know your true self. However, I don't know all the aspects of the not self that's holding you back. So what the form does is it allows me to really dive into, how was the decision made to create wealth? How was the decision made to lean into being an entrepreneur? Was there a fear of missing out? Was there a deep pressure because you see everybody else doing it? What's the decision? So I want to lean into that and go, okay, how did you come to this decision that you want to become an entrepreneur, that you want to create wealth, that you want to lean deeper into this energy that's inside of you? So inside of that gives me a vast amount of information because, again, I have the human design. I can extrapolate a lot of information out of the human design, but I want to see where in the not self was the decision made, because most of the time most people are making the decision out of the not self. And then as we lean deeper into the true self, I can see where okay, we want to lean deeper into the decision making of the true self. And if the not self was making the decision to book the call, to create the wealth, to do all of that, I totally can recognize where it's the fear of missing out. It is this aspect of how can I get rich and make a shit ton of money and live a lifestyle that other people are showing us on Instagram and social media just like this. And what I do in my group is I help you guys recognize that your destiny, your truth and your destiny is not anybody else's truth and destiny. So for example, I'm on a cattle ranch and that's my truth. That's my destiny. That's my husband's truth. That's his destiny. We love it. However, what's really interesting is that other people, that's not their truth and not their destiny. So they're not chasing that. So I can show images of it, but that's not their truth and destiny. And that's where I want you to get to. What is your truth? What is your destiny? And we do this by leaning deeper into our decision making. Okay. So first and foremost, in order for you to connect with that deeper entrepreneur, for you to connect with the wealth that's inside your design, there has to be a truthful decision. A decision that is not made from the conditioned mind saying, you should do this. If you could do this, you would do this. If you did this, then you could get rich. If you had this, then you would do this. All of that conversation in the conditioned mind will never get you to wealth. It has to be leaning into your internal GPS, has to be leaning into your decision making. Now, I did a video on my YouTube channel talking about this and really understanding. I walked through the decision making. And if anybody here wants to chat about decision making, pop it in. Are you still confused? Is there something that is, still kind of holding you back from leaning into your decision making strategy? And if there is, share it here. Let's have the conversation. Because if it's happening with you, it's happening with other people as well. And one of the things, and I mentioned this in my last live, and I've mentioned it in lots of my YouTube videos, is decision fatigue. Decision fatigue happens when the hamster that's running around in your mind is trying to figure out all the bits and pieces and parts of your life, and it's chasing. What I want you to grasp is that decision making and problem solving can't happen from the capacity of fear, anxiety, worry, nervousness, and the hamster running on the wheel. It has to come, decision making, wealth building comes from that decision making that's deep within your body. Now, what happens is that we get distracted. So in the open centers, two things can happen there, you guys. There can be a vast amount of distraction happening there, but that's also where all of your wealth, all of your money making abilities, all of your relationship making abilities, that's where it all happens. And I'm going to repeat this a lot. The open centers for me look like a revolving door in a mall. This is where we're always going out to get experiences, but people are coming in to gather our wisdom, but they also drop a little bit of conditioning. So that as you go out and get more experiences, you can see how that conditioning can turn into wealth. So there's always this revolving door in the open centers. Now, one of the biggest things and misnomers that I recognize being spoken about is we want to decondition. What we really, truly, actually want to do is recognize those experiences at a different level. We want to reframe. We want to reconfigure all of those experiences so that we can then turn those experiences and that conditioning into a wealth process. Now, again, that's how your people are coming in, and that's how you're going out. So, by making decisions through the true self, by delivering yourself to other people through that truth, what happens is then your wealth building isn't from this space of I gotta have it, I gotta do it, and this space of contraction and density. It actually comes from a place of openness and receiving. Now, some of you on here might say, well, manifestors they're designed to repel. Yes, that's truthful. But we are all designed to receive wealth, all of us. We live in, so go ahead and color in the whole human design body graph. What you get is an emotional manifesting generator, which is a response mechanism, which is open and enveloping. So the energy that we live in is an open, enveloping energy that is asking us to receive. So what you want to do is lean deeper into your decision making, okay? Foundational human design, decision making. And start checking in on that decision making. What is your decision making strategy? You want to lean into what is your inner authority? What is the strategy you're designed to have? And there's lots of confusion about strategy, especially with our generators and manifesting generators, or our builder type. They've been told, don't initiate. That's truth. You're not designed to initiate your meat suit through all of those thoughts, shoulda, woulda, coulda. But in order to market yourself, it's important that you put yourself out there so that the other 70%, the other 20%, the other 10%, that they have something to actually interact with. So marketing isn't about initiating self. Marketing is about placing yourself as on display so that your fractal line can see you and they can then respond, they can then feel invited, or they can be initiated internally to engage with your energy field. Okay? So marketing comes from the truth of who you are. And then you just display that trust in self, that truth in self, that internal mechanism that you were designed to represent. Now, so what I wanted to talk to you today about is decision making. Get really, really good at it and start checking it. If your decision making still has any aspects of old patterns, old condition, or comfort zone, then those decisions will never lead you to wealth. Those decisions will always lead you to a space that keeps you safe and keeps you in a state of lack. You want to use your decision making and lean deeper into your inner authority so that the distractions don't hold you back from making wealth, so that those distractions actually become your space of wealth. You reframe, you reconfigure, and then you package that up and you sell it to other people. And how you're selling, how you're designed to show up is that definition. And what that definition does is that definition is how you're delivering your truth of self to other people. Okay? And when we can do that as entrepreneurs, when we can definitely lean into decisions, pay attention to those distractions, and deliver through the truth of ourselves, then our fractal line can find us. It can see us. It can recognize us. Okay? So if there's any questions, I would love you guys to pop in some questions here. I am a right brain, body, right mind. And if anybody wants to pop into my Facebook group, you can definitely do that. My chart is posted there as well, so that you have it, so that you can see it, so you can see who you're interacting with. A lot of my YouTube followers as well in the early days, I put my chart in there a lot so that you could really understand who you're engaging with. Okay, so lean deeper into your decision making. Get really truthful with yourself. I recognize this a lot. I'm in a lot of groups talking about human design. And what I do is I really observe in there because I want to see what's happening with people in their decision making. And more often than not, people are very, very confused because the mental capacity of most people is very distracted. And it's very hard to tune into the meat suit, into your body, if there's a lot of mental distraction happening there. Okay? So lean into that decision making, get truthful, document it, journal it, watch it. Watch yourself interact with other people. Watch yourself interact with social media. Watch yourself interact with nature, with animals, any of that. Okay? Just pay attention to what is happening internally. Watch how the mind will try to pull you somewhere, but the physical body is also going, let's not do this. Let's go, let's do this other thing. But the mental capacity will try to force you to stay in that same pattern, okay? So what is some commentary on someone with a completely open G center? So, Magic Michael, I have a completely open G center. I think it's one of my biggest superpowers because when I'm interacting with my clients, it's a clean mirror for them to see themselves. I also have a totally open head, totally open ajna. So that those clean mirrors allow them to then see their mental capacity. I'm just speaking from my design now, and also see the identity of who they are. Now, that totally open G center has served me so well over my lifetime. Because what it does for me is it allows me, so I'm putting my hand here because the G centers actually resides right behind the sternum. And what that G center is all about is, the mantra is, if it's the right environment, the right people will be there. If it's the wrong environment, the wrong people will be there. And what I've noticed is that it will viscerally, my completely open G will viscerally give me a sensation in my body if I'm in the incorrect environment. And if I'm in the incorrect environment, the conversations are not as it needs to be, and then nobody's getting the enhanced level of the interaction. So Magic Michael, that's how I experience it. That completely open G center. It's a mirror for other people. When they interact with me, the people in my group, and we're having conversations, they get to see themselves at a totally different level. Because when you have a totally open center in any part of the human design, what it does is it is completely objective. It's not subjective. So an undefined center with a hanging gate, there's subjectivity there, because there's an aspect that you're filtering the information through. When it's totally open, it's completely objective. It's just a clean mirror. And for me, that's a huge part of my coaching skill, is just observing the other person and leaning into the truth of who they are, and then hearing their words, watching their mental capacity, again, totally open head, totally open ajna, and helping them identify deeply with actually who they are. Now, someone with the totally open G, you might go, well, what is my identity? Who am I? Well, you lean deeper into your strengths, you lean deeper into your skills, you lean deeper into the aspects that are defined in you. Then you lean deeper into your incarnation cross and your profile. Okay. And you use that totally open G center to then use that as your superpower to help other people. So, Hylianne, do you have any thoughts on someone, a projector, with an 8-1 G center to throat? I struggle with figuring out both identity and career. Okay. So, without seeing the whole chart, Wolf, is this the struggle the struggle for finding a career as a projector. You're a projector. It really is leaning into this 1-8. Now, I don't know if you have any other strengths in your chart, but 1-8 is all about like basically walking the talk. You're a role model, and the more you demonstrate, the more you lean into the demonstration of your truth, of your creative abilities, then all of a sudden people will invite you in. And then what you'll notice is that your career starts to open up. All of a sudden there'll be different invitations. But right now, using the language, I struggle to figure out both identity and career. That's mental. That is the mind saying, I'm struggling. It's like, it's that hamster on the wheel. So when we're locked into language, this is one of the biggest things of our Maya, is locking ourselves into language. I would totally encourage all of you, go to the etymology of words, recognize the language that you're using, because language is vibrational, it's frequency, and of course, God spoke us. The word of God spoke us into realization here. So go into the languaging. So I struggle with figuring out. So if you're telling yourself I struggle, then you struggle. Change the languaging. Okay? That's what we always want to do, is recognize what are we saying to ourselves, and let's shift the languaging. So one of the questions, Wolf, I would say you can begin to ask yourself is, what is the best and highest use of my skills as a career? Start to put that into your subconscious mind. Start to put that into your reticular activating system. And then watch how all of a sudden the invitations start to show up, because all of a sudden your energy field, your frequency just shifted. Instead of being in struggle, which will most likely create a lot of bitterness as a projector, instead of being in that struggle and focusing with bitterness onto other people, all of a sudden you shift that energy field. And it's like, what's the highest and best use of my skill set so that I can step into a career that really utilizes that skill set at its highest and best use? All of a sudden, there's success starting to permeate there because you started to use different language, highest and best use, those kind of things. Okay. So my challenge is not that I am studying to be, my challenge is that I am studying to be a counselor, but that means not showing much of myself and not speaking my opinions or truth. We are supposed to keep those things to ourselves. Okay. So what are you learning as a counselor? So Wolf, do you only have that one channel? What's the rest of your configurations? And I get it. You're here listening. You're here listening to other people, absorbing other people's energy all day. Now, let me ask you, truthfully, is this a career that you truthfully want? Do you feel that you're being utilized at your highest and best capacity? Are you able to be an advisor in that role? Are you guiding those people? Get the sensation of your body, have the whole entire experience, provide you with feedback so that you can get closer into what does this role model energy truthfully mean for me? Okay. So the 1-8 is your only strength, Wolf, here on YouTube. So ask yourself those questions. Truthfully ask yourself those questions. Do you feel utilized at your highest and best use day in and day out? Right? If you're here guiding other people, it's not about your truth. It's about the truth of your other people. So they'll be coming to you, talking to you about all of the information that's happening in their conditioned mind. Okay. So you get to then guide them through and navigate through that. So what you say here is, I enjoy the work, but feel it lacks creativity and ability to share. If that makes sense. Of course that makes sense. Because you're not here telling people or speaking your truth, because it's their truth. So always reflecting back to them their truth. And what's really fun is, you're 6'2". So there's this aloofness that's going on, and this hermit, or this capacity for you to be prepared for the uncertainty. And these people in your world are so scared of the uncertainty. They are so scared that they may interact with something that they are uncertain of, and that they're fearful that they're going to bump into it again and it's going to hurt. Okay. So the creative part is lean deeper into your open centers. Okay. Lean deeper into those, because the 1 and the 8 is fixed in you. You are designed to have creative self-expression. So lean deeper into the psychology pieces of all the openness in your design, so that you can begin to really extrapolate out of these people, creatively extrapolate out of these people what is the holdback in their lives. So you can lean creatively into that. Now, you can also have creativity in other aspects. Maybe it's a creative way you have your office set up. Maybe it's the creative way that you set up your website or how you interact with people on your website. So look at all the ways that you can be creative. Okay? Look at all the ways that you can be creative and start to feel into me inviting you to throw that creativity into different aspects of your work. Ecosentialism, art therapy models. I don't know what that is. Sorry. So I can't even speak to that. So you mean like use art in the business or in her model? That could possibly be, right? So that you can actually paint or draw or journal while your clients are doing the same thing. Is that what you're speaking about? Ecosentialism on Instagram? All right. So we're coming to a half hour here. So again, let's just recap. Okay. Decision making. You got to get clear on it. You have to know this deeply, because if you think you're making a decision to lean into wealth and you're still leaning into old patterns, then that decision actually hasn't been made. Distractions. What are the distractions happening in your life? And trying to retrain yourself, I shouldn't even say trying, but retraining yourself to recognize that conditioning is actually where you're going to have your most amount of wealth. So recognizing that distractions versus reframing and repackaging are two different things. Are you being distracted, jumping all over, losing focus, chasing things that are not for you? Or are you actually taking your experiences, reframing them, and selling them to other people? And then trust in self. You have to know your code, your God code, your internal definition. You must know your purpose. You must know your profile. You have to know this stuff and understand the mechanics and operate from it and trust it. Trust it. So one of the things that I talk about a lot is the stream that goes from the 41 up to the 30, 36 to the 35. Okay. The 30th gate is all about surrendering to the fates. You have to surrender to your design and let it work and get out of its way so that your experiences are enhancing your life, but also enhancing the lives that you bump into. So, Lori Johnson, this is hitting home for me right now. I am trying to decide whether or not to sell my father's home. There's a part of me that wants to keep it, but there's a lot of anxiety around that too. So, 5-1 manifester, emotionally defined. Any thoughts? So, again, what I would look at, Lori, in this is it's the sentimental value. It's this sentimental stuff. Now, I would go, what is the highest and best use for the home? Is it for you to hold on to it? Or is it actually for you to allow another family to come into it and experience a really awesome life inside that home? So remember, each one of the objects, even though they're inanimate, right? They still have an identity. They have an energy. Inanimate objects actually have the 25th gate. So there's still an innocence sitting there, okay? So lean into what's the highest and best use of that home, Lori, okay? So Clara Kim is asking, what do you suggest to those with innocent motivation who try to be goal-oriented? Again, I would have to look at the entire design, because anything that is like when we speak about goals, that of course that's left orientation, but it's also anything in the logic. And our brains, okay, our reptilian brains are actually goal-seeking uh, dynamics. They just are. And I get your innocent motivation. Okay. And innocence isn't about having an agenda, but you also want to be able to fulfill your destiny. So Clara, I would have to see the whole design because I like to have that holistic capacity to do that because I don't want to condition you to think one thing when holistically your body graph is saying something different. But goal orientation is you can still be innocent and actually experience a goal. Now, what do I mean by that? So maybe, whatever it is in your world. So let's just throw out a number. Maybe you're an entrepreneur and you want to earn $100,000 a year. That's a goal. You can do that innocently. You can do that innocently. You can set out the goal, leave it there, and move through the experience of it in an innocent way. Okay. All right. So thank you guys for being here. We are now at 36 minutes. So I'm just going to do a close. So again, decision making, distraction, and trust in self. That's where you want to lean into. You have to lean into your decision making. If you really truly want wealth, it has to be a decision that comes from your internal movement into that. Okay. And if the patterns and distraction are holding you back from that, you got to recognize it. You got to journal it. You got to see it. Okay. So thanks again for being here and we will chat again. All right. Thanks. Bye.